Refinery Caves 2, a game that I both love and hate, has taken up more hours of my life than I'd like to admit. However, that's okay, as it just means I have more of an excuse to make a video on it. This game is in a style very similar to Lumber Tycoon 2, in which you construct a base to your liking and make as much money as possible with trees all around the map. However, where it shines in comparison is the larger varieties of content available for many different playstyles. Hey, it's Nylon and welcome back to Charts Check, a series where I check out random things on Roblox and tell you why you should play them, or at least describe them to my best effort. But before I begin, here is a quick word from our sponsors. This video is sponsored by my channel members who make literally everything here possible. So, thank you to Makeshift, Pixel, Fantolomew, Arrow, Smile, Zemby, Luigi the God, Fizz Gaming, Pyrex, Toothbrush, Eggman, Divi, ePublisher, DJ Thunder, Shade Morningstar, and Boxel. If you want to join this list, consider joining the channel with the join button down below. Becoming a member gets you access to videos earlier than other folks, along with access to a secret channel or two in the Discord server. Speaking of Discord, I've got one of those if you're into that, so link is in the description too. Of course, subscribing is completely free and is a massive help to the channel. I'm on the road to 10,000 subs, and that goal is only possible with your guys' help. You can always unsubscribe if I suddenly become misogynistic on Twitter or something. Hopefully you folks have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you enjoy the video. Refinery Caves 2, which for the rest of the video I will not say the name of for some reason, is a tycoon game all about collecting materials around the world, refining them in machines, and selling them for profit. This profit can be turned into new machines, tools, and the likes to improve your base over time and get better vehicles to make the collection process easier. The game's core collections are split into three categories: mining, which requires you to chip away at rocks to collect rare and valuable ores from all over the world, primarily in caves and on top of mountains sometimes; lumbering, where you chop down trees of varying sizes and travel deep into caves and the top of mountains; and fishing, centered around playing silly little minigames and splashing around in the water. I'm sure you can guess where you need to go for that one. If not, here's a hint: water might just be involved. When you pick up one of these starting masteries, you lock the other two at a maximum of mastery 4, while your choice has a limit of 10. It also gives some specific passives, however I will be going to those later. Just know your choice here does have a pretty important impact on your gameplay. In my opinion, there is no best choice, so pick whatever you think you'll enjoy the most. And if you don't like it, there's always save files to try anything else out. If you didn't catch on, many of these locations for all three goals are located in usually the same areas, meaning unless you're a die-hard fisherman, which if you are, I'm sorry for your loss, you'll likely be able to travel with other players to that exact same spot. Fishing is the only one that doesn't really fit this list 100%, as there is plenty of underground fishing spots, but for the most part there are areas where one of the three goals were not actively there, whether that's only fishing and lumber, or lumber and mining. The map is divided into two primary islands, that being Nova Bay Island, which is where you start and a lot of the early game lies, and Roswell Island, which much of the later game materials, tools, and vehicles hide away. But because we're just looking at the start of the game, let's check out Nova Bay Island. Is the home to most of your gameplay, primarily because this is where two of the main gameplay points are: the land store and the selling zones. The land store is where you purchase your land, starting off cheap, but growing in cost as your plot expands. This is where your vehicles, machines, and all the likes go. I'm sure you can guess what Silver's sell zone does. But if you don't, you actually buy stuff here. I'm lying. That was a lie. I'm a fraud. The sell zone is the general sell zone, which buys all materials for 70% of the value. Though, if you have fish and fishing drops, you can also head over to the docks and sell there instead for more bang for your buck. Starting off on Nova Bay, you want to chop on some nearby trees, mine some nearby ores and stone, or fish in the ocean nearby to get your first few dollary dues. Your goal is to make enough to get land, and that's how you start to snowball your money. You want a vehicle for transporting, and any machine that can refine materials. Private servers are completely free as well, by the way, so if other players are intruding on your progress, you can always just grab one of those up. This may change later on, but based on the update logs, I assume they will stay free. This island's above ground doesn't have much going for it. What you'll be looking for is anything to mine and sell. Your early game should be focused on not just making a bunch of cash, but rather learning the layout of the island, understanding what is where. The general store is where you'll spend a lot of your time shopping, as this is where a lot of the smaller vehicles, weaker tools, wiring, and most of your base's machineries are. Along with the general store is the furniture store, but this is much less for progression and, well, more for furniture, obviously. However, what's the most important here for progression is what lies deep below the earth. Underneath Nova Bay is a multi-layer cave system. First layer is the Dusty Caves, which occasionally has sandstorms. These sandstorms awaken runestones, which is the primary reason you'll be down here. The runestones here are used for enchanting your tools, which I will cover later. There is only mining in this layer, so no lumbering or fishing. All you gotta do is smack it and, oh. Oh, I see. What happened here? Well, welcome to this game's progression. Masteries. In Refinery Caves, there are 3 masteries. Mining Mastery, which slowly gains progress from mining stones and ores, with swing percents closer to 100% giving more XP than 0, and is required to unlock higher strength pickaxes. Lumber Mastery, which is upgraded via hitting trees, getting more XP the similar way to mining does, with higher percentages. Also, the same as mining, you need more mastery to get higher tier axes, instead of pickaxes. And lastly, Fishing Mastery, which is upgraded via fishing up literally anything. This one is a outlier of the 3. I believe you get more experience based on the rarity of the drop, but I'm not 100% sure of that. As you progress this mastery, you gain tools that have shorter cooldowns, and combined with certain enchants, these better rods can both cast and reel incredibly fast, making fishing less and less tedious. Certain materials in the world have tier values, and for this example we will be looking at lush trees. Lush trees have a tier value of 3, meaning you need an axe with a similar or higher strength to be able to chop them. So your early game progression is to try and get your masteries up to use better tools, as exploring and trying to find new trees with a low mastery is usually just a waste of time. This goes for mining too, however fishing is more of a skill-based minigame rather than timing. Fishing rods can also fish in literally any water pool with no mastery requirements. Certain fishing spots have different drops and more difficult things to catch with better rewards. Without a better rod, however, these fish are much harder to catch. However, it's not impossible. This is the only mastery that can theoretically progression skip and go anywhere immediately. These masteries have a soft cap of 4, however, depending on what class you chose at the start, your choice can reach 10. Higher masteries do not improve stats or anything of the likes, and at the time of writing this, there are currently no tools that require a mastery higher than 4. Along with that mastery cap, you also gain certain bonuses from each class. Miner gains 6 bonus jump power and the Swift perk, which reduces your cooldowns if you land a hit above 95%. Lumberjack has 4 bonus walk speed and the Raw Strength perk, which allows you to lift items twice as heavy. And Fisher, which has both 4 bonus walk speed and 2 bonus jump power, and gives the Lucky Foe perk, which increases the luck of all RNG roll events by 15%. It's completely personal preference which one you decide to play, as you usually will collect Mastery 4 in all of them anyways and collect their tools in the endgame. Speaking of the endgame, the progression of this game is linear when it comes to your tool options, however, your choice of how you get there is what makes it special. Of course, you can just stick in Nova Bay the entire time and smack oak trees for 30 years, or you can tier up your tools and attempt a journey to greater lands. You start off small, obviously, with a rusty tool of your class choice. However, as you upgrade over time, more materials become available. For the first 2 layers, you'll be sticking mostly to the ground layers of both Nova Bay Island and Roswell Island for any of your harvesting desires, as a lot of the more interesting materials are found either way up high on mountaintops or found way deep below the earth. Once you hit tier 3, you get open access to almost everything on the map, and that is when your exploration can take you some great places. Tier 3 trees and ores are where your main money methods finally show themselves. Whether you're scaling a mountain to find incredibly rare trees, or delving deep down into the waters to find ores hidden from the light of the sun, the values of the materials begin to finally ramp up. The difficulty of obtaining these becomes much more tedious. For example, the Crystal Abyss down on Roswell Island. This endgame location requires a gemstone that can only be obtained from fishing. However, when using one of these 3 gemstones, you gain temporary access to a massive collection zone of incredibly valuable items, with the duration of this zone being open ranging based on the gemstone type you used. Before you get here though, you must first navigate through tight twisting corridors and pay a man some money to finally reach an incredibly dangerous pathway. However, this high risk comes with a massive reward. The endgame consists of getting the largest carry load vehicles, getting as much material and money as possible, and collection of rare materials and items for even more money or just to show off. This game is still actively being developed, and there have been some super interesting sneak peeks that show hope for even more endgame coming to the game over time. So if you're interested, I recommend getting a head start now before the changes come to modify the progression, and to be prepared for any new interesting additions. The final thing to cover here real quick is the player plots. Your plot is your own personal haven, where you can let your imagination show. Whether that's via incredibly intricate builds or super advanced industrial setups purely just for the money, there's a lot of options for folks who just want to expand and make their plot their own. Ultimately, you will flesh out your base over time with new machines and vehicles and slowly expand your plot until you create a beautiful empire of wonder. Or you can be like me, make a mess of materials on the ground and then give up halfway through a build because you have no idea what the hell you're doing. Everything on your plot saves, except for raw trees for some stupid reason. And so hoarding up items and filling your little dragon hoard desires is definitely a choice you can make. And yeah, that's about it. I recently made a community post about this. If you're wondering why this video out of all of them took much longer than the others, it's because I'm employed again. I've had so much free time recently being unemployed that I've been able to grind out videos constantly, but I've been doing job applications daily trying to get out of this hellhole. This is why I've thanked my channel members so much. It's because I've basically relied on them and you folks to keep myself fed and warm at night. So thank you all very much for that. If you want more details, check out the community tab of the channel, and if you do not care at all, that's also completely fine. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching, and next time you see me, I might finally remember what my name is. I love you all, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you next time.